Have no fear, students. Because I am here.
Heroes!
Ugh, heroes.
That's right, All Might, a famous hero from the hit manga and anime My Hero Academia. Who wouldn't want to be super strong and all about justice like him?
Not me. I like that all-for-one guy much better.
We have to be careful about light spoilers, Grim. So how would I go about being a hero of peace and justice in my role-playing games? What kinds of abilities would I need to become the Fist of Law? Today we'll be designing a D&D subclass inspired by the hero All Might. In order to break that down, we first have to answer the question, who is All Might? Many of you all might not know. Well, All Might's not just a strong guy who punches people, he's a larger-than-life superhero. He's dramatic and completely committed to protecting others. When All Might arrives, people feel safer. He prioritizes getting others to safety before jumping back into the fight. That's a huge part of his fantasy. That's why this build can't just be about super strength damage. To feel like All Might, the character needs to hit hard, yes, but also needs to be reassuring for allies and frustrating for villains. So what class fits this best? For this concept, Pugilist makes the most sense. It gives us the brutal, unarmed combat style we want. More importantly, it captures the right feeling. This is a character who solves problems with strength and constitution to spare. Closer to All Might than a disciplined monk or a raging barbarian. Pugilist gives us a good base, and there's enough room to add the heroic symbolic side that makes All Might who he is through a subclass.
So basically he's another symbol of hope? Yuck, how many of those do humans have?
Trust me, they need it, Grim. So now that we know who All Might is and why Pugilist is our starting point, let's talk about naming this subclass. I had a lot of ideas, but struggled to find one that stuck. Symbol of peace, fist of hope, one for all, but I still wanted to be original to some degree, so I decided to call it the Hero of Justice. One fun roleplay flair I added to the subclass is that you have to be the good alignment to choose it. Also, disclaimer, this subclass is a bit overtuned. In order to fulfill the fantasy but still be balanced, I had to cut some corners. Let's jump in with our level 3 subclass feature. Now that we know that our Pugilist is our base, it's time to talk about our first big question. What does an All Might-inspired subclass need right away to start fulfilling the fantasy? Yes, this class certainly needs to hit like a truck filled with more trucks, but if that's all that it did, it wouldn't feel like All Might. You could be some drunken tavern brawler with excellent posture and maybe a superhero costume. We need the build to capture the whole fantasy, charisma included. So at level 3, I wanted this subclass to do two things immediately. First, I wanted it to feel heroic, and second, I wanted it to feel physically overwhelming. That gives us our two level 3 features. Our first feature is called Larger Than Life. This gives the subclass proficiency in charisma saving throws plus proficiency in persuasion and performance. People trust you and you command attention. All Might reassures civilians and carries himself like the kind of person who should be standing at the top of a building with wind blowing dramatically through, well, whatever it is he has going on with his hair. A lot of superhero fantasy is social. Persuasion and performance represent that public-facing side really well. And the charisma save proficiency is there because I wanted this subclass to feel emotionally hard to shake. After all, a symbol of peace shouldn't falter the moment someone tries to break their spirit. And there's not a lot of charisma saves in the game, and the subclass is already pretty strong as is, trust me.
So you get social bonuses just for smiling at people?
Just like in real life, yeah. Now, mechanically, this also helps the subclass stand apart from other Pugilist options. A lot of Pugilist subclasses lean hard into the combat identity first with grappling and dirty fighting. This fills in a part of the class fantasy that the core chassis just doesn't naturally emphasize. Base Pugilists are already really good at being durable and forceful and physically expressive, but it's not necessarily good at making you feel inspiring or larger than life in a social sense. Our second level 3 feature is called Leaps and Bounds, and this is where we start covering the physical side of the fantasy. This feature doubles your jump distance.
Chrome, didn't you say that doubling your jump distance was a bad feature in your Pugilist versus Monk video?
Wow, you're actually paying attention, Grim. While I did say it felt lackluster compared to the Monk at level 10, the context here is very different. First of all, you get double jump distance at level 3, not just level 10. Notice how I said not just level 10? Let's think about that. What's going to happen when you reach level 10 with this feature? Could it mean that Leaps and Bounds effectively quadruples your jump distance? Why, yes. Is this OP? Yes, but hear me out. Marshals need a little bit of sauce anyway when casters at level 10 get crazy stuff like Wall of Force. Also, this is online before most species and classes have access to flight, so it helps jumps feel more special. Leaps and Bounds also lets you carry willing allies without a movement penalty, and you count as one size larger for shoving and grappling. The jump boost is there because All Might style movement should feel explosive, even before we get to the transformation features later. I want this character to feel like they enter a scene with force. Counting as large for grappling and shoving allows you to use control techniques even if a giant monster threatening the city is much bigger than you, and being able to avoid the movement penalty while carrying allies helps you feel like Superman. Don't get me started on a large reduce. I'm sure you guys could think of some crazy shenanigans with this. So that's it for level 3. Larger Than Life gives us the social and symbolic heroism side, and Leaps and Bounds gives us the raw physical power fantasy. Put these together and you have the beginning embers of a fiery heroic legacy. Let's hop into level 6. By level 6, the Hero of Justice needs to start feeling like a real superhero. That means one thing, named smash attacks. Whenever you hit with an unarmed strike as part of the attack action, you can spend 1 moxie point to use a smash technique. You can only use a smash technique once per turn, because while I do enjoy fun, these are already quite strong, and I want this subclass to have some chance of play at actual games maybe, so we have 3 options. First up is Justice Smash. This one adds extra force damage in the form of 1d10 and forces the target to make a strength saving throw or fall prone. It's simple but effective. It lets you say, "Sit down, villain," and gives the subclass a clean control option that works nicely with the Pugilist base game plan of staying within melee and applying pressure. Next up is my favorite, Impact Smash. This one launches the target much further than normal at 20 feet, scaling with level if it fails a strength save. And if it collides with a creature or solid surface, it takes extra bludgeoning damage equal to 2d6 that also scales with your level. This can be especially useful if you need an enemy to get off of you, or you need them to get off of a civilian in need. And then we've got our third smash attack, Meteor Smash. This one deals 1d8 thunder damage to the target, and each creature besides you within 5 feet of it takes the thunder damage plus your strength modifier. This is our big shockwave punch. Your fists hit so hard the air explodes. I wanted one move that felt like the impact was so massive it spilled outward toward everyone nearby.
Yes, destroy all the puny minions at once.
I recognize that these abilities make this subclass a little over the top when compared to other Pugilist subclasses, but I mean, come on, it's not that difficult when some of them just have a couple of sentences to go off of and we're already missing out on weapon masteries. All of the smash attacks also scale to help keep up with our caster friends at level 11 and 17 respectively. It's no secret that martials aren't very strong right now, and they've always been kind of behind casters when it comes to options in and outside of combat, and that's okay. But I wanted to give this subclass at least some of those options that still felt on theme. And because they all run on Moxie, they fit naturally into the base Pugilist. Now that we've got our signature moves, it's time to move on to the true rescue hero with our level 11 ability, Heroic Aura. By level 11, the Hero of Justice already has physical prowess, charisma, and signature smash attacks, but now I wanted the subclass to do something else. I wanted something that would make the whole team feel safer. Because All Might's not just strong, he changes the mood of a fight just by showing up. That means level 11 should lean into the idea that your presence alone helps people hold the line. Heroic Aura. First off, you become immune to fear. That felt right for this subclass. A Hero of Justice should not be shaken by intimidation, monsters, or magical fear. If a pit fiend shows up, you're the one person in the party who still walks forward bravely. It's a small effect, but it could make a big difference depending on what kind of campaign you're running. Next, allies within 10 feet of you have advantage against fears as well. This allows the subclass to protect the group, not just yourself. You're not just fearless, your charismatic, heroic presence helps others stand their ground. It also keeps the support simple. It's a straightforward benefit for staying near the hero. With Heroic Aura, you also get advantage on charisma checks. This keeps the social side of the subclass relevant. This character should feel larger than life outside of combat, not just during it. For the next level 11 feature, I thought of ways to make the Hero of Justice deal more damage or be stronger physically. Then I considered, how do I make the heroism of All Might stand out? Then I came up with this. It's a bit overloaded, but it really does sell the subclass. Symbol of Hope. When an ally nearby becomes bloodied or is dying, you can use your reaction to move toward them, or toward whatever hurt them up to your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. Then at the end of your movement, you either make an unarmed strike or pick up the ally if willing. If you would pick up an ally this way, you may move up to your speed again without provoking opportunity attacks, and if that ally was dying, they are now stable. To me, this is what really drives home the whole subclass. It makes this class a battlefield manipulator too big to ignore. This is kind of also how you use your super speed. All Might's not defined by the damage that he deals. He's defined by what happens when things are going badly. I wanted a feature that rewards you for reacting to danger and helping your friends like a hero. That's why this triggers off of an ally becoming bloodied or gaining the dying condition. The subclass should care when teammates are in trouble and prioritize moving them out of danger with mechanics. Or I guess this also makes you a bloody barbarian delivery service. You could also troll your allies by delivering them to the big bad evil guy. Seriously, don't do that. The free movement's a lot, but it's there because an All Might-inspired character should feel like they close the distance dramatically. No need to say, well, tactically, I suppose I will remain here to optimize my action economy. Then, at the end of the movement, you can get that choice, punch the threat or ferry the ally to safety. That choice is important because heroes protect people in different ways. Sometimes you save your friend by getting them to the cleric. Sometimes you save your friend by flattening the guy who was about to hit them again and shoving them out of the way.
Ah yes, support through violence.
Well, they do say the best defense is a good offense. Symbol of Hope rewards you for staying engaged and aware of where the danger is. It turns your reaction into a cinematic tool instead of just something defensive. A lot of Pugilist subclasses can survive well and control enemies through combat manipulation, but this is distinguished because it responds when the team starts to crack and the tension rises. It helps separate this subclass from subclasses that feel more focused on personal supremacy. I know the Street Saint is a thing, but it's kind of like a worse cleric who just so happens to punch. There are a lot of combos that can work with these features, and I'm sure you guys could come up with a ton of great or busted ideas. For example, those who watched my Pugilist vs. Monk video would know that Pugilist can make an unarmed strike, deal damage, and shove an enemy at the same time, giving it synergy with Symbol of Hope. As you get to the dying ally, you punch and shove the enemy away, sending them flying from your friend.
I bet I could scare All Might.
Aw, definitely not as a book, that's for sure. By level 17, there's really only one thing left to do. Give this subclass a big hero transformation, because if we're building an All Might-inspired subclass, there needs to be a moment where things look awful, the pressure's on, and suddenly the hero decides that losing is no longer an option. That gives us Peacemaker. First off, your heroic aura expands to 30 feet. Simple but important. At this level, a 10-foot aura starts to feel a little tiny. If you're supposed to feel like a symbol, your presence should actually reach people. Then we get to the main event. If an allied creature you can see within 60 feet gains the dying condition, or you begin your turn at half your hit points or fewer, you can use a bonus action to enter your Stand United form for 1 minute. And yes, this is your big anime moment. Your aura flares, your body swells, and the villain realizes they may have misread the situation.
So, like a phase 2 boss battle.
Exactly. While in this form, your strength and constitution become 24, your speed is increased by 10 feet, your unarmed strikes gain 5 feet of reach, and once on each of your turn, one of your punches deals extra thunder or force damage equal to 2 rolls of your fisticuffs die. Oh boy, this is a lot, but at level 17 as a marshal, I think it should be. This is the payoff. You're superhuman, faster, harder to avoid, and every big hit feels like it landed with a weather warning as shockwaves reverberate wherever you punch. And the trigger is what makes it work. This form shows up when the fight gets desperate, when your allies are dropping, or when you're barely hanging on. We all know that that's when the Hero of Justice hits back hardest. Once you use it, you need a long rest to do it again, unless you spend 6 Moxie, and when it ends, you take 1 level of exhaustion. So yes, it's powerful, but it does cost you. So yeah, that's the subclass capstone feature. This subclass makes the Pugilist feel like a battlefield manipulator through raw physical power. Instead of just standing there and constantly trading hits, Hero of Justice is built to move allies to safety, close huge gaps, shove or grapple creatures that normally feel too large to control, and use smash techniques to sometimes literally knock enemies down a peg. In play, it feels like a marshal who controls space through their overwhelming physical presence, shaping the battlefield.
Well, that's everything, right?
Well... Wait, okay, so hear me out. This last feature is totally optional. It's a one-time use thing. Marshals just have it so rough. This is a special optional level 20 feature exclusive to the subclass that you may or may not choose to allow. Picture this. Your party has come to their end. Most of you are dead or dying as Vecna scoffs at your foolish attempts of defeating him. He and his minions have begun to bring about the apocalypse. The plains have all but burned to ash. Not much of the material remains standing. But one final city, a bastion of hope, made up of adventurers who came together, daring to stand against this great villainy. Now all that stands between him and utter destruction is you. Blood drips from your brow and you take a deep breath. It is your time to use all of it, everything you are and everything you could possibly be, to save them. Every ounce of your soul honed into your fists. And you enter your truest form, the last embers of peace. At 20th level, when all hope seems lost, you can call upon the last of your heroic power, sacrificing everything you are for one final moment of impossible strength. When an allied creature you can see within 120 feet of you gains the dying condition, or when you begin your turn with half your hit points or fewer, you can use a bonus action to enter your last Embers of Peace form, which lasts for 1 minute. While in this form, you gain the following ludicrous benefits. Your strength, constitution, and charisma all become 30, unless any of those scores are already higher. Your speed is doubled. Your reach with unarmed strike is increased by 5 feet. Once on each of your turns, when you hit with an unarmed strike, you deal extra thunder damage equal to 2 rolls of your fisticuffs die. You can't be incapacitated or restrained. Your senses are perfect. You gain true sight with a range of 120 feet, and at the start of each of your turns, you and each ally of your choice within your heroic aura can end one of the following conditions affecting them: charmed, frightened, grappled, paralyzed, poisoned, or restrained. You also gain access to United Smash. When you score a critical hit with an unarmed strike, all of your attack rolls until the end of your turn are considered critical hits. In addition, if this is the last turn in this form, your attack rolls are all considered critical hits. When this form ends, you may give a short speech, then you gain 6 levels of exhaustion and die as the last embers of your soul burn away into the ether. Only the effects of a wish spell have a chance of restoring you to life, and once you use this feature, you can never do so again. Okay, so I know that's completely broken, and I really don't blame you, DMs, if you won't allow this in your games, but think of all the ways the big bad evil guy could just escape anyway. I had to throw in a little bit of fun. And that's the Hero of Justice subclass, a pugilist inspired by All Might who leaps into danger, protects friends, and throws punches so dramatic they probably deserve their own soundtrack. I'd love to hear about it if any of you get the chance to try it out, even if it's just a one-shot. But also share your fun theories, which feats might be best for this subclass. If you had any characters you'd like to see turn into a subclass, let me know in the comments. I do check and respond when I can.
You should make an all-for-one subclass.
That would be tough with all the different abilities, although maybe a warlock? Okay, 1,000 likes and I'll make an all-for-one warlock. Oh, you're still here. So I haven't gotten to the point of having a proper shop yet, but if you'd be interested in purchasing a PDF of this class or other homebrew content I make in the future, let me know. Thanks for watching.